All right, here we are, day 3 of 30 days of it's my own little 30-day challenge of going live on YouTube, 30 live streams in 30 days on YouTube. So, welcome. Join me if you're thinking of starting your own YouTube channel or expanding your YouTube channel or doing something with it. Join me in this experiment, and I dare you, just like I've dared myself, to go live every single day for 30 days and see what happens. So, crazy thing, just so you know, my first video got 3 views, okay, which is not, like that's nothing. Then my second video yesterday of day 2 got 27 views. So crazy. I'm curious what's going to happen today. Today, I was thinking a little along the lines of what we talked about yesterday, what it means to take ownership. And I wanted to stay along that same lines and talk today about taking territory. Okay. So when I think of taking ownership, I'm thinking of you decide you're going to go after something and it's a new endeavor. I mean, so much of life involves change and doing something new, because if you want something new, you have to be who you're growing into, and then you start doing new things, and then you'll have new things, right? But it starts with becoming. So once you see a vision of what's possible and it resonates with what you see for yourself, then you become, and sometimes you start doing something new to put on the identity of who you know you are becoming. Okay. It's almost like the outworking and the doing goes hand in hand with the identity you've taken on. Let me give you an example. So when I first became a realtor, and now I'm launching a new speaking business too and helping others do that. But when you're doing something new, when I was a brand new realtor, I got my license. I was fully licensed. I was a real estate agent, legal, certified by the state of California, but I had never sold a house or helped a family through that process. So it would have been very easy for me to not show up as a real estate agent. And instead, I I saw the vision of what I wanted in a coach, a mentor, and I learned from him everything he told me to do. I did it without deviation. I would show up, and for me, I used open houses. So I would show up to the open house. I would say the things he said. I would do the things he did exactly the way he said it and did it. And the whole time I felt, of course, there was that imposter syndrome, right? And not only that, I wasn't good at it at first. Like, I was terrible. However, I kept going, kept going. What happens when you're taking new territory is, even as you are growing in the skill and you're learning and you're doing the activity, um, there's this like intangible difficulty. It's weird. It's almost like existence itself feels like it's resisting you. I remember having dreams during that time that I was on my way to the open house. I could never get there. My signs wouldn't go in the ground. There were people lined up waiting for me. It was like an anxiety dream. And so what happens is, when you're taking on something new, a new endeavor, a new activity, or maybe even a new approach to the same thing you've been doing, but it's uncomfortable, there's so much resistance that comes at you. And I'm a Christian, and I've been a pastor since I don't know, for over 20 years, right? And I've been in ministry in some form since I was 15 years old. And a common theme that occurs when you're a Christian is, well, the devil's against you. And yes, the devil is against you. I mean, the Bible makes it clear. He seeks to uh, he wants to steal, kill, and destroy every human. However, there's something even more to it than that. When I was launching this latest consulting business that I'm doing in helping people create 6 and 7 figures in a single day using live virtual events, There was so much resistance in that too, because everything was new, the technology was new, the strategies were new. I was very capable of doing it, but it was just uncomfortable. It was like putting on a whole new uniform, right? It's just not broken in yet. So I had this picture and I felt like all hell had broken loose against me. And I was like, I was just praying. And in my mind, I was like coming against Satan. And then it hit me. And I felt like the Lord helped me see it's not the devil. Like, not everything's the devil. You're taking new territory. You are breaking ground. There are things in place in arenas that you're breaking into, and even in your own home patterns and your own behavioral patterns, there are deep rooted things that have grown up for many years and they have deep, thick roots there. And so you're literally uprooting, and the ground itself, the very territory itself that you're stepping into, is raw. I mean, it's not clear. The land isn't cleared. Things are not in order, and it takes time, and the ground itself is resisting the change. But if you've ever worked land in real life, you might have to remove some trees, and boy, those root systems do not want to give way at all. I mean, it takes heavy machinery. You can't even do it yourself. It takes heavy machinery, so you might have to call in the troops. But once you get that tree out of there and the roots out of there, then you're able to till that ground and plow it. And now it's like smooth, level. It's not difficult to walk on anymore. There's no trip hazards. And like pretty soon it gives way to even a small seed can be planted. And that seed, not even heavy equipment, but just the seed itself will start to grow and bloom if you just continue to cultivate it. You continue to nurture it, and then you're getting better. So, a lot of times, the resistance that you think is coming from external forces of people or the enemy, the devil, it's just life itself has patterns that don't like to be disrupted. And so when you recognize that, you're better able to just not give up and just keep going and realize that that is just the way of things. And it doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means you just keep going, and it will give way if you stick with it. So let me encourage you. It is time for you to take ownership of the desires of your heart that only you have, those desires that were put in there by God for you to make manifest. And it's time for you to take new territory in order to take ownership. Like, once you take ownership of a place, then that is where it begins. Like, you still have to clear the land. You still have to um, work it out so that it will be cultivated into like territory that will respond to even the smallest seed that you plant later. So be encouraged. We're doing 30 days. Join me if you want to dare yourself. Like, join me. You're invited. Why don't you do 30 days of live YouTubes with me? Let's do it together. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see what happens in your life. See what happens in my life. And God bless. I will see you tomorrow.